Okay everybody, what all of us wanted is here actually, and we have the 2XKO patch notes for the upcoming update around the game. And this is one of the main reasons why I was not actually uploading any more 2XKO guides or videos, because I didn't know kind of like how big the changes were gonna be. So we're gonna be reviewing them. I'm gonna be reading this patch notes live and reacting to them so we can discuss about them. This video is not gonna have that much editing because of that, but the idea is to see how much the meta of this game is gonna change, how much is it going to really be a big change, or just regular stuff that is not that significant. We can see that the patch is basically nerfing the top tiers: Ekko, Yasuo, Teemo, the most dominant characters in the game by far. And Ahri, a character that is considered also insanely strong, it's only getting adjusted. We're gonna see that in more detail. And Warwick also, that's interesting. And buffs for Blitzcrank. Blitzcrank is arguably one of the worst characters in the game with Braum, so I am glad that Blitzcrank is getting kind of, buffs. Hopefully they are significant, so let's keep checking this. New content learning hub. So this is basically, it seems like, to kind of like practice, and it gives you chromas. That's great, and the orange chromas are looking good. I like them. It has rewards. Okay, this is nice. I'm not gonna go into much detail about this because this video is about balance, but we can check it quickly. Rank rewards like stickers and stuff, that's kind of not that significant, to be honest. So okay, system changes. Let's see, core rules. We have some changes for general rule adjustments. Okay, assists no longer have collision after they become invulnerable. Okay, that's a very specific change, but I can understand why it would happen, but I don't know how big it's gonna be. And then Parry's shockwave is now full screen. Ooh, okay, that's huge. What? That's a big change for parry. This means that parrying physical attacks should lead always to a punish and should interrupt something like Teemo's S1 super. That's actually nuts. This means that parry now is much more stronger, and it makes also much more sense to use parry as a punishment tool more than a guess in a block string. Okay, I love this. This is a good change in my opinion. We will have to see how much is it going to kind of like screw up some characters that play in the mid-range or long range, but I'm down to this, even though we don't know how big it's gonna be. I'm down to kind of try and see how can we make parry more significant, because I think it's a really cool mechanic. I love parries as a mechanic, so I'm down to that. It seems interesting to say the least. And then bug fixes. Throwing a rolling opponent now adds the current amount of combo scaling. Okay, that's actually significant for some characters that do a lot of combos after grabs. Fixed a bug where champions were unable to block after whiffing a mid-air break. Okay, that's also quite significant actually. Air throw whiff recovery at extreme high jumps. Arcs is no longer sure than it should be. Okay, made small updates to some animations. That's great. And they involve travel and moves, collision pills, okay, and happy birthdays will be slightly more consistent. I don't know how happy people are gonna be about this, because happy birthdays are kind of like a controversial thing about, how can we say it, like tag funnies in general. I do like happy birthdays a lot. I think that they're very hilarious, but we will have to see how big it is. But if I get more happy birthdays, and they are fair, they're not like a stupid interaction, I'm gonna be fine with that, to be honest. I like happy birthdays as a concept, so I'm not that mad about it. I was looking at Blitzcrank earlier, but I didn't read everything, that's why that was open. And now, before we get into champion adjustments, oh, okay, they have like another article on what is the approach. Nah, I'm not that interested in that, to be honest. I just want to see the actual changes. I was also looking at Ekko earlier. Okay, so the champ changes below are designed to combat uninteractivity. That's a great thing, okay? One of the biggest things for me about 2XKO that can be unfun is how a lot of characters play a single player fighting game. They are not really interacting with you actively in neutral and trying to basically make you play the game with you. They are trying to force their game plan on the most degenerate way possible, and forcing this, forcing to not interact, but actually to just kind of play like an RPG, like a turn-based RPG in some way. So I do like that. Let's check Ahri first. So we have a bug fix for Ahri, as well as a change that targets some of Ahri's most high-level routes. So they are basically nerfing the damage. That makes sense. And this will nerf Ahri at the highest level, but not for the average player. Okay. So mid-air S2, forward S2, now has reduced hit stun late into a combo. So this is basically gonna make Ahri's combos shorter. I do agree that this is a good change. Now, I think that if Ekko and Yasuo are gonna be significantly nerfed, we gotta, wait and see that, but with the patch notes. But if this is the only big change for Ahri, she might end up being like a top 2 character because she still has everything about her that is insane. Like, she's the best keep out character in the game, I would argue. Like, she can play the most kind of like coward neutral in the game, if you want to put it like that. That she can just backdash eternally, jump, do stuff in the air, you can't get in, and it's actually relatively uninteractive, but not as much maybe as other characters. But, nerfing her damage is probably a good way to start and see how it affects the character to not basically, nerf her to the ground right away. Ahri now has the correct number of invisibility frames on her ultimate when it's blocked. Yeah, that was a bug. I do remember that, so it's good that they took that. The charm hitbox has been reverted to a previous smaller version. That's also, a good change. It was pretty freaking big. And some of Ahri's combos are still dropping on Warwick. Okay, why not, right? Now let's move to Blitz. Blitzcrank, we're giving Blitzcrank better steam generation, particularly on Power Fist. Okay, so we want Blitz to basically have steam most of the time, instead of only after supers. That's probably a good change for the character, because when Blitz has a steam, it's pretty much like when Braum has Ice Shield, when he has Unbreakable. It's a completely different character, so it's a good change. We're also improving their projectile destruction properties. Okay, so this is kind of like, this is targeted against zoners. They want Blitz to be able to deal better with projectile-based characters, and that makes a lot of sense because Blitz is a grappler. So the most weak thing about him is probably getting in. And then improving anti-projectile tools, Rocket Punch now destroys projectiles more effectively. The hitbox now appears 5 frames earlier. That's actually a lot. Wait, that's a big change. Rocket Punch now it's actually pretty fast. Okay, this is significant. If you play Blitz, you're probably gonna feel this. That's nice. And the projectile destruction properties of Rocket Punch now apply to the extended arm. Nice. So they're gonna actually make like the whole arm anti-projectile, not only the tip of the punch. So it's much active, okay? That makes sense also because a lot of moves that Blitz does actually kind of like work as a hard box, so Blitz does anything, and not only some of that stuff is not gonna be helpful for him, it just makes him more vulnerable because his hard box is bigger. So it is good that they're actually doing this and making like the whole thing useful. And both of these changes are aimed at helping Blitzcrank beat air to ground projectiles. From Ekko, Teemo, I can see kind of like the approach. We're basically trying, to make Blitz able to fight anyone that is just playing keep out with projectiles over and over. Improving steam generation. Okay, spinning turbine now generates 20% more steam on hit. A steam charge S1 hold now generates a full bar of steam 25% quicker, and Wrecking Ball also more steam. Okay, so they basically want to make Blitz better against zoning, but also be able to access steam much more consistently. I think that it is a good approach because in this game, all the characters in 2XKO, in my opinion, are designed in a way in which if they get 2 very significant and degenerate buffs, they're going to be top tier right away. And I don't think that these changes are actually that significant. They are big, they're going to make the characters better by a long shot, but they're not going to make Blitz like degenerate right away. So I do think that going small and not doing the biggest changes in the world is actually kind of like the best possible philosophy to take. So good changes for Blitz in my opinion. And then final hit of fully charged Wrecking Ball block stun has been increased by 12 frames. It was negative on block. What? Oh lord. So Wrecking Ball now is a plus on block move. This is big. This might be the biggest change, because this is actually going to allow Blitz not only to have better pressure up close and create situations in which you have to guess between, being command grab or not, but this might also give him better neutral. And the final hit of fully charged Wrecking Ball hit stun has been increased on grounded opponents. So now it's basically better when people are, eating pressure up close. And you get better conversions, Okay, and what are the bug fixes? No longer occasionally makes opponents invulnerable, okay? And a spinning Turbian now properly pushes opponents back when its final hit is blocked. Okay, I like these changes. I think that Blitzcrank is gonna be significantly better, but I don't know if he's gonna be, top 5 or anything. We gotta wait and see but it's of course a good start for Blitz for sure. Braum, no changes for Braum yet. Okay, as a Braum player, you know, 2 times GM with Braum, I think that he's bad, yeah, in comparison to the top tiers, but I can understand why you don't want to kind of like overbuff Braum, because if you overbuff this character, it's going to be a nightmare. Like if Braum in any meta is like top 3, it's going to be a pretty hard meta to deal with if you don't like Braum. So I can see why they don't want to make that many changes. Darius, just bug fixes. I mean, Darius actually is kind of like perfectly balanced in my opinion. It's a character that has clear weaknesses in the game, but has also a lot of strengths. So I'm glad that they are not changing him. I think that he's in a pretty good spot. So they no longer recover immediately after Noxian Revolution super, okay? And now extra damage to wounded enemies as intended. Sounds okay. I think that is good. Let's see what everybody wanted. The Ekko changes. So yeah, Ekko was a big overperformer, arguably the best character in the game. So let's see the nerfs. Toning down assists. Okay. So my time is getting nerfed. We want this to be an all-rounder assist, but not the best, blah blah blah. So what are we doing? Startup frames have been increased from 17 to 19. And that's a pretty small change. And block stun has been reduced from 18 to 15. Those changes are not that big, guys, I'm not gonna lie. And if you call Ekko's Chrono Strike assist twice in a row, it no longer gabless and can be parried. Okay, this is actually a much bigger change. The fact that you can now parry, like when you're playing against 2x assists Ekko and he does my time, you know. And before you couldn't really do anything unless you did like a level 3, I think. So the fact that it doesn't have a gap anymore is great, but this changes, like the numbers, you know, the changes on startup and block stun are not that big, to be honest. It might not be enough, in my opinion. And then the total travel distance has been reduced by 15% over the duration of the move. Yeah, because it was basically a full screen, like check. It was free neutral for anybody that had the assist. They didn't even play the game, really. They just press a button and play the game for free. But again, 15%, maybe it should be 30. I'm sorry, but this is a pretty disgusting move. It's arguably the best move in the game. So I don't know if these changes are enough. And the hitbox have been decreased in size vertically and horizontally. This compounds with the distant nerf, yeah, to like make the range better and not work as an anti-air. That's good. And the hard box, okay, this is significant. The fact that the hard box is bigger, because a lot of the time when you saw Ekko do it, you couldn't really retaliate at all. If he whiffed, like it was pretty hard to kind of like work around this. So the hard box being bigger is good. And Time Wonder Assist, increased frames. Yeah, but Time Wonder Assist is not as big as Chrono Strike, in my opinion. But they're basically trying to make it like still good for screen space, but not necessarily degenerate. Again, I gotta see this. Like the numbers to me might not be enough. Let's move into the neutral actually. So Time Winder S1 has been reduced by 25 frames. Okay, that's actually much more significant, at least in raw numbers. Like going from 1 and 5 to 80, and like the activity of the projectile is pretty big. So this is gonna be good for like how much space Ekko is gonna take and how much you can actually interact with the character instead of just waiting. So pretty good. Hopefully this doesn't change his combo routes though, because it would be pretty dumb for the character that they change kind of like the way in which the neutral works with the Time Winder, but they also change all the like combo routes. Okay, so a lot of combos still function. Yeah, that was what I was talking about. The mid-air Time Winder duration has been reduced. That's also good. And the exact duration of mid-air Time Winder varies based on height. Okay. Block stun is lower, but it's still really high. It doesn't matter. This is completely insignificant. And no longer triggers proximity guard. Okay. And the Time Winder toss is still the same. Down M can be punished more easily. It has less recovery. There's a lingering hard box during recovery frames, and recovery frames have been increased by 2. Not that much. This move had less recovery than M. It doesn't anymore. Okay. It's still gonna probably be relatively hard to punish. Decreasing damage. Remove minimum damage override on Ekko's Mega Time Wonder Super. It now deals 98 damage late in combo. And damage has been decreased by 20 when not used as a counter. Again, not very significant. Crouching Herbox is now bigger. That's actually big. in a lot of situations you couldn't really hit Ekko as a croucher, so significant. And bug fixes, nothing too big it seems. Okay, I mean, to me these changes are actually not as big as they might seem. I think that Ekko is still gonna be top 5. We have to kind of see, you know, and play the character, see how it actually feels, but I don't believe that this is gonna be enough, because at the end of the day Ekko is stronger because of like character design. You know, if you don't change very specific things about his kit and make them significantly worse, like very big in terms of the nerf, the character is probably gonna be in the same state. Maybe he's not top 1 now, but he's not gonna go down from the top 5. I can feel that. So, but yeah, unless they are kind of like aware that the character needs nerfs, then just bug fixes for Illaoi. Okay, I think that Illaoi is in a good state. I do believe that she's one of the most slept on characters in the game. I talk about that in my tier list. Maybe I was wrong that she was stronger than Teemo. You know, I went too far, but I still think that she's like the secret top tier in the game if you know what you're doing. But I can see why they didn't really touch her. So yeah, that's okay. Jinx, mostly cosmetic, and bug fixes makes sense. Yeah, it's like completely cosmetic SFX stuff. I like effects. Yeah, that's okay. I do think that Jinx is also in a good spot. Let's see Teemo, one of the best characters, and overall also like arguably the best character at the pro level. You know, like the pro tournament scene, this character is nuts. So let's see what they did. Notorious super assist. Okay, the super assist was insane. Yes, arguably the best assist, or like the best super assist in the game. Now it's easier to punish because hurtbox on Teemo is increased, and the mushroom now disappear if Teemo is hit. Okay, but how are you even gonna hit the character? But okay, I can see that they want you to actually be able to deal with Teemo when he does super assist and he's gone from the fight, so it's good. Let's see how easy it is though. We have to wait and see and try it out. Bundle dash has frame advantage decreased by 3. Okay, this is actually big. Like the fact that this was 0 on block was pretty degenerate, and now you basically get kind of like your turn, so I'm glad that that's the case. So charge bundle dash is changed, so they want you to charge the move. You know, they want you to use the charge version if you want to keep your turn and get the pressure going, or doing specific combos maybe. So that's okay, that's fine. And then bundle sky patrol S1 super now now deal less damage, and combos that convert from the hit will be much shorter. That's great, because Teemo had so many stupid combos out of this Superman. You could literally just do like the same that people did with Jinx in the closed beta. You just super get in, the same stuff with this, and it was degenerate. Like, why can't you get, you know, like an almost TOD damage combo out of a full screen super? So I agree with that. And then we're turning down the mix. Okay, so drill height mid-air no longer causes a crouching opponent to stand on hit. That's huge, and it's actually good because a lot of characters have that property or that reality. Also, for example, with Warwick, there's a lot of combo routes that you cannot do with a demon flip into like medium, because the characters crouching do not get hit by it, for example, and stuff like this. So I'm glad that other characters are experiencing that same, you know, like more nuance in the combo routes instead of just always being able to do the best combo. I'm glad with that change. And Teemo will now be able to combo with combo crouching instead mid-air, yeah, the same thing. And the hitbox is now lower. So, okay. And changes to controller? No. Performing this input on our keystick was extremely difficult. If we're gonna leave it and we want it to be more accessible no matter what controller you have, okay, I can understand that. And bug fixes, parachute or only slow fall no longer persists after he tags out, okay. And S2 super no longer goes the wrong way if the opponent tags out. Okay, I don't think that Teemo is gonna be that different, unless like the changes to the numbers in this stuff is actually going to be very significant for the character. Probably still very strong. We gotta again wait and see. We gotta play the character. And then bug fixes for Bai. I think that Bai deserves some buffs, man. Like, this character is not as good as people think, in my opinion. So I would like to see Bai get some buffs. But I can understand why, again, they didn't do it. What did they do? Added additional hitbox on Warwick's M. Now M hits lower and closer to Warwick to prevent M from whiffing at close range. Okay, that's a significant change actually for anybody that plays Warwick. So I'm glad that they fixed that problem with the M button. And all the other, it's like tracking problems, couldn't KO opponents. Yeah, it's a lot of bug fixes, which is nice. You know, it's a new game on an early stage, so they need to do their changes. And now Yasuo. Okay, we're tuning down Yasuo's damage by adjusting the H follow-ups from his calm stance. Okay, so we're gonna kind of like change the scaling, and we're also adding additional risk to his current best mix-up option, mid-air. That was a big change that was needed, to be honest. And finally, we are redistributing Yasuo's movement from his backdash to his calm stance backdash to help encourage Yasuo players to utilize that part of his kit for movement. Okay, so they want to change like how people play Yasuo a little bit. Damage nerfs down S1 into H has been reduced. It's not that much though. It's still gonna hit like a truck overall, like in the full combo. And the minimum damage scaling has been reduced from 0.3. The very small changes. Late into a combo, this now deals 24 damage, down from 40. This is big actually, like the damage that it does at the end. But it's not going to be as big maybe as people think. It's just going to make people, you know, it's going to make Yasuo kill you in maybe 3 touches instead of 2. But that is not going to mean that the character is going to be significantly weaker necessarily. And these are all damage changes, right? Yeah, but they're small like values, like down 20, down 25. Okay. We have to see how much this ends up adding, you know, like when you do a combo, if you use all these tools, like is it gonna be minus 300, 400 damage, then it's going to be actually a significant change. Offense nerf, so mid-air down H, really good, like move from Yasuo can no longer be cancelled into special moves on block. So this being cancelable allowed Yasuo, you know, to have multiple layers of mix-up. Yeah, he could do whatever he wanted and open up people very easily, but this is adding risk to Yasuo's strongest mix-up and tones down the power level of mid-air, yeah, L down H into S1. Yeah. I mean, it's good that it's actually punishable now, or at least Yasuo loses his turn. And the landed recovery has been increased from 3 to 6 frames. So, okay, so it's not, you know, something that's gonna make it punishable necessarily, but it still gives you something better to deal with the character. And the stomp now pushes back slightly further on hit or block, but the frame data is the same. Ah, okay. So this might change, like some combo routes, but I don't know how much. Like Stomp L whiffs now, which helps champions with slower jabs contest Yasuo's pressure. Yeah, it's basically gonna have like more pushback, you know, when you're playing the character and he does this sort of like sequence. So it's not gonna be as easy for Yasuo to kind of like use this to keep pressuring you. Okay, movement adjustments. Backward movement speed has been reduced by 20%. So they made like backdash worse, but the backdash speed while calm has been increased. So they want you to backdash using calm down S1. Like they don't want you to backdash regularly. Okay. But that's kind of weird because I don't relate, you know, like reading any of this like backdash nerfs for other characters. And Ekko, for example, also has a brutal backdash. Ahri also has an insane backdash. So I kind of don't understand this, to be honest. I think that this is pretty like a specific, and I don't know if I agree with having such a specific change for a character when it's not necessarily as significant as it might seem. And then neutral nerfs. Guile Blade mid-air S1. Her box has been increased. Thank you. Down H has been nerfed in power. Starter frames have been increased by 3. Not that big unless you can like react to it with 2H or something like that. And hitbox has been very slightly decreased. So this move was too fast, right? For both how large the hitbox was and how much advantage you get on block. Yeah, completely agree. Let's see if we can now maybe react to this with like the starter frames increase. Maybe we can now react to it with 2H. I don't know. Depends on how good the 2H of the character is also. Stormbreaker assist has been increased by 8. This is actually also something that a lot of people don't really talk about with Yasuo, like his down super assist, or like the assist when Yasuo's already out, you know, he's dead. And you use a bar to use the assist is insane. Like it's one of the best assists in the game when it comes to super assists. So the fact that it's getting nerfed is actually like relevant. And then bug fixes. Yeah, but this is not necessarily okay. And then quality of life updates, new layouts for controller, bug fixes in general for like the interface. Makes sense. user interface, I'm not that, you know, like connected with that. Store and cosmetics, Crime City bundle, yep, available for a limited time, I do remember that. New skin sets, Resistance Illaoi, I don't like that skin that much actually. Sandstorm Ekko, I love Sandstorm Ekko in League, but I don't know how good it's gonna look. And then that's it. Okay. Well, I don't know, to be honest, after seeing this patch, how big the changes are actually gonna be for the meta of the game. Like, if the changes are significant enough around these characters, you know, around Ekko and Yasuo and Teemo, maybe Ahri is now the best character in the game because the changes for her, or the nerfs or adjustments, whatever, are much smaller than to them. But we already saw Yasuo getting nerfed significantly after the closed beta, and that really didn't change like his position in the meta that much, because to me this game has a problem with not only like power level, but is related to character design. Like, there's a lot of characters that are strong in this game by design, which is a problem, or just a feature, you don't really need to call it a problem, that many modern fighting games have. So again, we have to wait, try the game out, try the patch out. I hope that it is enough to make these characters variable, because like, I also haven't played 2XKO that much again after reaching GM, and like not trying to get crazy with like the challenger run and everything, because I want to play other games and do content for many other fighting games, not only for this one, but also because I don't want to play against these characters. Like, it is not necessarily the most fun experience in any fighting game that you can play at the moment to play against an Ekko Yasuo player, or a Teemo Ahri player, or an Ekko Teemo, Yasuo Teemo, whatever, you know. Like, it is a very unfair experience, especially for someone like me that plays Braum. I know that I can still deal with them, and I got to GM dealing with people that play these characters all the time. Like, after I reach like the first tier of master, I think that most people only played these 4 characters. Like, 1 out of 10 fights, maybe I fought a Blitz or an Illaoi or a Braum or a Warwick. I did see Warwick a lot, but in combination with some of these characters. So I think that the game needs a change. Like, the game needs a meta change to make it more fun, and just to kind of like prioritize enjoying the game, because to me that's always the first thing that makes a game great. Like, to me it's not about making a game balanced, it's about making it fun for everybody. And it is not fun to always fight the same 3 or 4 characters, and that people have a relatively lame playstyle with them. So yeah, I hope that this is enough, and that we can see newer teams, more interesting teams. Also, because a lot of the time when I saw people playing other teams that didn't really use these characters, like didn't use Ahri, Teemo, Yasuo, Ekko, they were really interesting players. You know, they were really kind of like trying to think out of the box, have a more like exciting playstyle. And I think that people that play these characters in this latest patch don't necessarily have the most exciting playstyle. And I'm not, you know, kind of like blaming the players. Like, all the love to you. Like, if you like these characters, enjoy them while you can, before they get nerfed to the ground, if they ever do. Because the idea is for people to have fun with this game, but I would like to see a state of balance for this game that prioritizes fun for everybody, and that tries to tone down, you know, the unfair interactions and power levels that maybe some of these top tiers have. So let's wait for the patch and see how good it is. Thank you for watching, and see you on the next one. Have fun with 2XKO.